Hello, Jonathan. It's so great to have you.
Hi, thanks
All
for
the,
having me.
all the way from Japan, right?
Yep.
You're welcome. Listen, I am so excited for this conversation with you today. I feel like, it's serendipity when we cross people's paths in life. And I don't know how I was connected to you, probably through a community, a Tony Robbins community, I'm guessing, but I got to know you through Facebook.
Yep.
And I got to know your story, and I was just so moved, and I could not wait to share you with my audience because you have such a powerful message. And I just want to thank you in advance for taking the time, a busy man over there in Japan, just doing great things. So I'm grateful that you're here. So today we're going to talk about, are you able to find the good? And you're going to share your story with us. But before we dive in and people get to know who you are, just a little bit about the series. So I created Michelle's Conversations That Matter to really elevate the conversation around emotional and mental well-being, and to bring people on who have stories to tell, inspiring stories like yourself, or even a clinician or professional who can educate us on certain things. And what I do professionally is I get to work with organizations to bring more compassion to the workplace and help recenter employees. So that's what I do every day, and I love it. So today, without further ado, could you do us a favor, Johnny? Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you live, and what you do for a living.
Well, first of all, I'm a Navy chief. I've been in the Navy for almost 17 years. I hit my 17-year mark actually next month. I'm a small town farm kid from a little bitty town in Illinois, central Illinois. Had about 8,000 people. And, I grew up there. I dated my high school sweetheart. And, after I graduated high school, I knew I had just about three options. I could either join, work at a factory, work in a restaurant, or continue to work on a farm. And, I just felt like I was destined for something bigger. So I joined the Navy, and I went on and married my high school sweetheart. And, the rest is history. So I guess I'm introducing myself, Navy chief. You'll see in the rest of my story, I'm a dad, a widower. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm just someone out here trying to make a difference. And I'm dabbling in the life coach area, just helping people just see life better than they found it. And that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know what? Thank you so much for your service to this country. I honor you. My father was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Navy.
Wow.
So many amazing servicemen and women just doing their part to really keep us safe. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to begin. I have all of these thoughts swirling through my head. So you have a powerful message to share, and we're going to get to that. But before we get to your message, do us a favor and tell us about your high school sweetheart, your beautiful wife, Sarah Stone, and your children as well.
So Sarah, I met her when let's see here. I was young. I was about 16, almost 17. She was just a little over a year younger than me. I met her. She's a real spunky, fiery redhead. And, I met her, and we used to swim I grew up in this little town, like I was telling you guys about. And the only thing we had to do really, I would bale hay all day long with my dad. And then we had this place called the Sunset Inn, and it was a hotel, and it had $5. You could swim, sauna, steam room, had everything. And so I would drive over there, and I'd meet all my friends, and I met Sarah there. And at first we didn't get along at all, which is crazy. I was kind of like the leader of my group of friends, and she was the leader of her group of friends, and we just didn't see eye to eye. And but as we hung out all the time and started, just everybody met up at this swimming at this hotel to swim and hang out, we eventually became really close and started dating. And so like I said earlier, once it was time for me to graduate, we dated all through high school and everything. And when it was time to graduate, I started looking into my future and our future. And I just knew we were going to get married. You just, sometimes you just know. And I talked to her and I said, I think I'm going to join the military. I don't know which branch yet. And, she was like, whatever you decide, I'm riding with you. So, we're in this together. And that's what happened. The Navy happened to call me first, and I answered the phone, and I signed up for the Navy. And so after that, that summer, I graduated, and then I hung out all summer long and made a ton of memories with Sarah. And then I left for boot camp that following January, and after that, I went on to Florida, and then to San Diego, and that's when my wife and I got married. And let me tell you, it was crazy because we were about as happy as you could possibly be, but we were as broke as you could possibly be. I'm talking, we jumped in. I went back home. We had a little Nissan Sentra. I loaded it with as much as we could fit in that thing, and we just drove towards San Diego. And you got to remember, we're both from a small town. We had never flown. We had never seen the ocean. Nothing, So this is one big adventure for both of us. And we got out there and we slept on an air mattress. We barely had anything. We ate a lot of spaghetti, and but we had love and we had each other, and we just stuck together. And fast forward, we a few months later, we found out she was pregnant, and we weren't not trying, but we weren't trying. It's just one of those deals where we're in love, and if we have kids, it's meant to be. And right when she found out she was pregnant, she said, I have a feeling I'm having twins. And I was like, nope, there's no way. And I never changed a diaper. I'd never done anything. And so what happened is I went to the first appointment. We did a sonogram, and they said, yep, you're having one baby. And I was like, told you. And then the second one, the second appointment, she went by herself because I was just an E2 in the Navy. That was pretty much the bottom of the bottom, for the military. And I was like, well, I went to the first one, if you don't mind going to this one. And she went, and then she called me at work, and she never called me at work unless it was an emergency. And she called me and she said, are you sitting down? And I was like, no, why? What's going on? And she said, we're having twins. And I told you. And I was like, oh my God. And that was kind of the first step towards our Team Stone adventure. And I was super nervous. And, at this point, she was, barely, almost 19. I was 20. And I was like, what are we like? This is crazy. We're out in California, no family, nothing. It's just us. And I went home, and she had a teddy bear sitting in the living room. And she said, and some diapers. And she said, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to change a diaper today, because I know that's something you're really nervous about. And so that's and I sat there and I did it over and over and over again. And until I was a pro. And then you fast forward about 7 months, and the twins actually ended up being born almost 3 months early. And that was like our first challenge. That was our first challenge in finding the good and showing the power of love, right? If that makes sense. And so they were born, her water broke in the middle of the night. We were confused. We didn't know what was going on. We're basically kids having kids, and it was nuts. But, I had my little bag packed, and we jumped in the car, ran to the hospital, and got there. And yeah, like I said, they were born really early. So what happened is they were in the NIC unit for almost 3 months. So what I would do is, again, that little Nissan Sentra, and I would get up. We would both get up at 4 a.m. I would drop her off at the hospital at the NIC unit. I would go to work all day, get off, go take a quick shower, meet her at the hospital, and sit in the NIC unit until they would pretty much kick us out. And we did that every day for about 3 months. And fast forward, those are my twins, and they're healthy and ornery as ever. They're 14 now, and teenage girls, but they're doing great. And but it was tough, and we were scared, but we just chose each other. We chose love instead of letting fear and life take over. And so after that, I went to sea duty, went on a couple deployments. We had Maddie. I made it back from a deployment literally within days. And went my ship pulled into San Diego. I flew back to Illinois, and Maddie was born 2 days later. And I made it just in time. And Maddie was born right on time. And then fast forward a few years, and now I'm an E6 in the Navy. And we start talking about a boy. And we looked into adoption because, we didn't want to go for it again and end up with twin girls. Not that I don't love them to death, but I wanted my boy, and so we looked into adoption, and it was several $1,000s. And I was like, I don't know if that's what's meant to be for us. And then she actually brought up becoming foster parents. And
Wow.
So that's what we signed up to be foster parents through an awesome agency back in San Diego, Angels Foster Family Network. And the day we got certified, we got the call, hey, we have a baby boy who's just born. He'll be ready for you to pick up in 2 days. Do you want to take him home? We were at a beach cleanup, and we were so excited. And we show up there, and Sarah went back first, and she held up this pale little redhead baby boy that fit right into my whole family of redheads. And, so
That's good.
we got to foster him. And then a few months later, we found out that he actually has autism and severe global delays because his mom had done drugs while she was pregnant and various different things. And then a few months later, his biological mom actually overdosed on the streets. And when that happened, they asked if we wanted to adopt him. And of course, by then I was madly in love with Jackson. And, and Sarah and I had made a deal when we signed up to be foster parents that if it's a girl, she'll get up with her in the middle of the night. And if it's a boy, I'll get up with him in the middle of the night, and I'll do as much as I possibly can. And so I held my end of the deal, which turned out to be a big blessing, looking back now, because him and I are best buddies. And it didn't matter. I was an instructor still in the Navy. It didn't matter if I had to get up at 4, 5, 3, I was always getting up with them. And because that's what I said I would do. And so that's kind of the story behind how I met my wife and how I ended up with my 4 kids.
Wow. So tell me, so you are the co-author of this little book called Finding Good.
Yeah.
And you wrote it with your wife, Sarah. Tell us about the book and why it was written.
So 2015 was one of the best years of my life. We adopted Jackson. I made chief first time up, when lots of people said it was impossible. And I make it a point to prove people wrong. And, a mentor of mine told me to always grow where you're planted. And that's what I always try to do. You can't always choose what happens or where you go or anything like that. But growing where you're planted, that's on you. And 2015 was that year for me, and I made chief. And then just a few days later, they deployed me. And it was crazy, but it was awesome at the same time. I knew Sarah had it. She was an incredible, military spouse, and she was taking care of the kids. They were doing their services and everything. And I went on my deployment and then got back. And this was a couple weeks before Christmas. I got back in December. And so 3 days later, after I got back, I had to take my wife to the ER. And what happened is she was having really bad stomach aches, and she had a bunch of issues going on. And being the tough military spouse she was, and what a lot of moms end up doing, and wives and stuff, is they put everybody else first, which is very honorable. And she did that, and she went to medical a couple of times, and there's a couple misdiagnoses going on. But I was laying in bed with her, and she was asleep, but she was squeezing my hand because she was in so much pain. And I was like, something's going on. And she had lost a bunch of weight, but was really bloated. And I was like, what is happening? And remember, I'd just gotten back. The kids, it's tricky when you just get back from a deployment, because I'm trying to blend myself back into the family and
Yeah.
figure out what my role is and her role and everybody. But the next morning I took her to the ER because she was just in a ton of pain. I got my neighbors to babysit the kids, and we went there. And within probably 20 minutes, they did an ultrasound. And when they did, I could tell something was off by their face, and usually they're pretty good at hiding it. And I was like, oh boy, something's going on here. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And they did the ultrasound and they walked away. And I remember Sarah and I looking at each other, and we're like, hey, listen, no matter what happens from here moving forward, we have to stick together. And, we had a bad feeling. We both knew, and we got to stick together, and we have to find the good in every day. And that's kind of where the finding good came from. And, just like the movies, within a few minutes, all these like doctors came in and brought chairs and sat down, and we're like, here we go. And they're like, hey, we have some really bad news. We found a tumor the size of a grapefruit on one of your ovaries, and another tumor. And we have to take you to surgery immediately. Like, we're going to do a pre-op tomorrow and then surgery the next day. And remember, this is right before Christmas, and I just got back, and we're like, we're like, how is this possible? She's only, 28 years old, and they're like, hey, and Sarah, being the person she is, she's like, can we wait till after Christmas to do this surgery? And they're like, no, we have to get this thing out of you. And so we went home that night, and we came up, we laughed together, we cried together, we came up with a cancer fighting song, and talked about our memories, how we're going to tell the kids, and what this means, and it was crazy. And but through it all, we still had each other, if that makes sense. We still had the love for each other, and we still had the ability to just somehow find a reason to smile. Now, that's not saying it was easy or anything, and we're definitely crying, but so we told the kids kind of what was going on, vaguely. They were young, and then we went in for the pre-op, and then we went to the surgery. And I remember sitting in that waiting room, which what felt like a lifetime. Like I'm telling you, I can see it. It was dark. I was sitting there. My the Navy was awesome. The Chiefs mess, they came and they sat with me for a little bit, and this and that. And then eventually I was just sitting there, and, we were in San Diego. All our family was back home in Illinois. And the doctor came, and I remember exactly where we were standing. I mean, I'm telling you. And he says, hey, we got the tumors out, but it's not ovarian cancer like we thought it was. It's actually stage 4 appendix cancer. And 1 in a million people get it. And your wife was one of the unlucky ones. And
Wow.
That was a big blow. And I was like, well, what's that mean? What do we do? And he says, you have a long road ahead of you. And this is something that this type of cancer is extremely rare. So I'm going to refer you out to Moore's Cancer Center in San Diego, and to a specialist. And that's when I talked to him, and I said, hey, just let me tell her, please. And when she wakes up. And I went back, and when she woke up, I told her, and she was like, you know what, we got this. And and she was tough. And so that was kind of the beginning of our cancer journey. And eventually why I wrote this book. And we started our cancer journey, and we started going to chemo every Friday, and we would sit in the bamboo garden, and we would just talk about life. And at first it was almost like we were winning. Like, we had a lot of hope, and she was always smiling, we were smiling, we were getting through it. And we were just doing our thing. We were finding the good in every day, just like we had promised each other we would. And we were making memories. And eventually she just started to go, progress downhill, and progress. And it was tough. Eventually, you remember, I'm a brand new chief. I had, like, 2015, I thought life was just amazing, like, holy cow, on top of the world. And then I get back from that deployment, and it was like God had taken a snow globe with my life in it and just shook it. and everything was all over the place. And it was my job to take care of my sailors, my wife, my kids, my house, and everything. And it was a tough, tough, tough gig. And I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy ever, to watch someone you love slowly die in front of you. I mean, it was a tough journey. And but we went to Disneyland, we made memories, rather it was snuggling or whatever. And fast forward 10 months, and it was right before Halloween, actually. And she was hurting so bad. She had this really bad cough. She had lost a ton of weight. I just bought her a recliner for her birthday to put in our room, because she had to sleep sitting up because she couldn't breathe. And it was bad. Wow. It was so bad. And I mean, I remember she had this bowl, and she was throwing up constantly because of the chemo and everything else. And I would run and dump it out, and then run and dive on the bed so she could, if she had to throw up again, and managing her medicine and just helping her get through it. And still I had hope, and we both did. And it was right before Halloween. The kids were getting ready. We were getting ready to take them to a neighborhood Halloween function. We lived in military housing. There's a big thing going on, trick or treat, or not trick or treat, but costume party and all this stuff. And I was going to take them because my mom was helping out. She flew out, and what happened is I got them all the way down the road, and then I got a call from her doctor, her primary oncologist, saying, "Hey, I'm the on-call oncologist. Bring her in so I can put all the focus on her, and so we could figure out what's going on." She had this really bad cough and all this stuff, and this was literally like right after her birthday. She was born, October 17th was her birthday. We took her in, and little did I know that was going to be our last hospital visit. And it's crazy to think back now, how it all went down. We'd been to numerous hospital visits, stays. There were times where I was sitting in the hospital with her for a month almost, and my amazing neighbors were helping out with the kids, and Jackson still had to get his services because it was special needs. And there was just so much always going on. And, she, that night we were in the hospital, it was like 4 a.m, and I was sitting there and just halfway asleep. I was always afraid to fall asleep just in case she needed me. I felt like I hadn't slept in months, and all of a sudden all her machines started going off, and it was crazy. And I jumped up, ran over, hit the emergency button. All these people ran in and everything. And they were starting to go to work on her. And she had fluid around her lungs. They were trying to drain that and all this stuff. And then it was like time stopped. And these doctors just turned to me, and I saw the nurses like crying out of the corner of my eye. So I knew something, it was bad. And so she just turned 29, and I'm 30. And I'm like, what is happening? And the doctor looks at me and he says, "Hey, you have to make a really hard decision. And you only have about 5 minutes to make it." He said, "You can put Sarah, we can take her up to the ICU and we can make her comfortable, and she's going to have anywhere from 4 hours to 48 hours left with us. Or you can put her on life support, and we can't treat cancer while she's on life support, and she will continue to suffer." And he's like, "You got to make a decision pretty quick here." Gosh. And I remember like the machines are beeping, everything. It's crazy chaos in there. And I'm like, what do I do? Like I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Yeah. And so I look through the crowd, and I look at Sarah, and she just gives me a wink. And we had these talks before, and especially there toward the end, I knew she was getting more sick, even though I was in denial about it. At that moment I knew what to do. And so I chose to take her up to the ICU to make her more comfortable. And I called my mom, and I told her to bring the kids. Yeah. And they were all super confused because they were young, and they came in and they were just coloring and kind of hanging out. And I was trying to keep Jackson from pushing buttons on like the different things. And but it's just crazy to think about, you know. And
Right.
they all said goodbye to their mom, and they left with my mom, and then she gave a little pass down to all the neighbors, you know, and all her good friends, and hey, you know, you be you, and don't worry
Yeah.
about other people say or think. And then it was my turn, and that's when I hung out with her, and that's where we had a lot of really good talks. But one of the big ones is she made me promise three things,
Hmm.
and she made me promise to continue to find the good in every single day, no matter how hard life gets. Continue to do good things for others, and to open my heart up for love again. And of course, I said, yeah, of course, to the first two, but the third one, no way. You're the love of my life, my, you know, high school sweetheart's like, no, I'll just focus on the kids, and and that's it. And you know, she's like, you have to. We're young, and someone deserves to feel your love, be on the receiving end of your heart, and you deserve it as well. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay, you know. And then we just chatted and we snuggled, and then you know, you'll see in the book that the person who wrote the foreword was the ICU nurse, and she was incredible. And
Wow.
she she actually called in. She made it through the night because she didn't want to, I'm pretty sure because she didn't want to pass away on Halloween,
Oh.
because she knew they would jack up the future for my kids, or for the kids. And
Hmm.
so she made it through that day, or through the night, through that day. And that, and the whole time that nurse was calling and making, seeing how she was doing. And then she came in, and then within a couple of hours she said, you know, it's about that time, you know, she's about to go. And if you want to crawl up in bed with her, you can. And so I crawled up in bed with her, and we snuggled, and you know, and she told me, she said, you know, I want you to know that I have zero regrets in my life, and that's because of you. And you know, it was insane. I remember, you know, it was almost a blessing, and also one of the worst experiences in my entire life. It was a blessing because it's not often you get to know when you're going to pass away. And and it's, so I got to be there, and I got to hold her, and tell her it's going to be okay. And you know, and I remember I had my hand on her chest, and I could, you know, when she took her last breath, it was like uh almost like someone had just punched me right in the gut, you know. And I was like, all these emotions started flooding through my head and in my heart, like, what am I going to do, you know. You know, I'm a single dad now with four
Yeah.
kids, you know, one with special needs. What's this mean? What's going to happen? You know, and all this stuff. And then, and you know, this whole time I'm crying, you know, and I wouldn't let him take her for a while, you know, and I just thought, you know, eventually it just hit me, you know what, we have to figure this out, you know, we have to keep going for the kids.
Right.
And after that, I went home. I talked, it was insane, you know, walking out to the minivan we had, you know, with an empty wheelchair. Like, this is like, how is this happening, you
Yeah.
know? And what did I do to deserve this? What did she do to deserve this? And all these thoughts. And I got
Right.
home, and I talked to my kids, and I told them, you know, of course, it's not your fault, and you know, we're gonna stick together no matter what.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of,
Yeah.
that the book itself, that's why it was created, is to, I originally started off, I was thinking I'll write it for my kids just in
Right.
case something was to ever happen to me. And
Hmm.
they would have the story of how I met their mom and how we were able to get through everything,
Hmm.
and make the videos and stuff that we did to eventually hopefully inspire people to live their life. And
Yeah.
that, and
You
that's the
I
book
was,
in a nutshell, pretty much, you know. And there's so much that has happened since, and because
yeah.
of, and before. But the book itself, that's pretty much the story. And it's there to inspire people to just don't wait for something bad to happen before you truly live. You know, I never would have guessed in a million years Sarah was healthy, you know, and
Yeah.
28 years old, get diagnosed with one of the most rare cancers there is. You know, life isn't guaranteed, you know. And it's one of my personal missions to remind people of that. And so
Yeah.
And
The,
that's why I did the book, you know.
the thing that struck me, Jonathan, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm like having a hard time actually listening to you without crying. I was reading through some of the book that you have here, and there are entries from her, and the pure resilience that she shows. And I guess you captured her posts on social media throughout the journey, and I'm like, it's like amazing that someone who's sick can find the good. Like, how did you do that? How did you, was it just this vow to one another that no matter how bad things got, you were always going to look and make sure that you could get present to the good?
Well, we're both naturally kind of positive people, but there life changes when you're told you're or when you're dealt with a fatal disease, you know, and your priorities shift, and the way you see life and the way you see things, it it changes completely, you know. So if say I don't know, accidentally burnt a pizza or something, normally I'd be like, dang it, you know, I got to remake it. Where I'm like, well, after that, at least we don't have cancer, you know, or at least someone, or at least Sarah's feeling good enough today to eat with us, you know. And so it just, so your ability to find the good just happens kind of naturally because um, you don't know how much time you have left for real this time, you know, and so you're kind of dealt the hand where, hey, you can see it one of two ways. And that whole grow where you're planted thing is always stuck in my head. And so um, on days where she didn't feel like keeping going, I was there. And on days where I was discouraged, she was there. And we just kind of muscled our way through it. And not all wins were huge, but they were huge to us, you know. If it meant we were just able to sit with the kids for a couple hours and watch a movie, that was a win that day. That was our good,
Yeah.
you know. And like I said, we went to Disney. That was a win for us, you know. And so your priorities just shift, you know, and your definition of good shifts.
Could you tell us a little bit about the hummingbird? You were telling me a little bit about first of all, the cover of the book is absolutely beautiful. It captures your family so beautifully. But tell us about the hummingbird. You told me the story when we met early on, and I'd love for people to hear that story.
So um, the hummingbird, that's I had to take Allie, first of all. The biggest one is when I had to take Allie to Allie's one of my twin daughters. Uh, you know, I was right in the middle of being a single dad, and just, you know, I had to take her to a dentist appointment, and she was freaking out. I mean, she was so afraid. She was screaming, she was kicking, crying, and everything. And I was like, gosh, how am I gonna do this? You know, and I was starting to feel super overwhelmed. And we're on like the third or fourth floor of a building, like in the city in San Diego. And I look out the window, and there's just a random hummingbirds just flying right there. It didn't even belong. And I was like, I just felt peace. And in my heart and in my head, I just knew that was Sarah, like saying, hey, you got this, you know. And then after I just started seeing hummingbirds, I'd be laying in the hammock in our backyard, just taking a break for a second, just trying to, you know, figure out what's next for us and Team Stone. And I just see a hummingbird, and I just started seeing it more and more. And so that was the inspiration behind the hummingbird, and why it was really important that, and you'll see on each page is, you know, when you're reading it, there's a hummingbird
Yeah,
up at the top.
up at the top. I saw that. I did catch
And
that.
I don't know, that's just something that you know, it's maybe silly to some, but to me it I don't know, if it brings me joy, I follow it. And and that's what that hummingbird did.
So when we first met, we had a conversation a while ago. You told me that you did UPW, and I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins' work. I've done UPW a couple of times, Date with Destiny a few times. But you have a cool story of how you landed at UPW. So tell us that story.
So UPW, so I love leadership. Clearly, I'm in the Navy. I'm a chief. I love leading. I love helping sailors and people in general. And what happened is a few months after Sarah had passed away, um, I was sitting, I remember again, like it was yesterday, I was sitting in my living room scrolling through Facebook, and my neighbor kept posting all these different leadership events she was going to, and different things. And I was like, what is this? And I messaged her, and she said, it's Tony Robbins. And she said she's a platinum member, which at that time I had no clue what that even meant. I was like, oh, cool. Like, and she was like, there's a Tony Robbins UPW event, Unleash the Power Within, coming up in LA. And in March, you have to go to it. It'd be perfect. And she sent me the link, and I looked, and then the tickets were like thousands of dollars and everything. And I was like, I'm a single dad. I'd have to fly my mom out, get a sitter and all this stuff. I was like, maybe next time it's just a little pricey for me right now. And then I kind of dropped it. And then I want to say maybe a few weeks later, I get an email from Tony Robbins' assistant saying, we heard your story from her name's Cheryl Lynn, and we heard your story, and Tony and his wife Sage would like to invite you as his personal guest to Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within in LA, and the dates and stuff. And, you just show up, everything's taken care of. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, holy cow. And, it took me a second, I was like, what does this even mean? And what happened is Cheryl Lynn had sent a few videos and our story up through the avenues of Tony Robbins' people, and eventually got to him. And because Sarah and I had made a ton of videos while she was sick, with updates and just, reminding people to live their lives and like, hey, look, guys, we're doing it, and stuff like that. And so I go to UPW. I rode with her up to UPW, and I remember getting there, and I walked to my seats, and they were right next to the stage. And I was like, I had no clue who was going to be there, what was going to happen. I had heard of Tony Robbins. I had shared some of his quotes and stuff before, but I didn't know what I was about to get into, and I was going to sit in the back because I was like, I'm just this Navy chief, I'm a small town farm kid. What am I doing here? I figured I'd be sitting next to, who knows, celebrities, millionaires, billionaires, whatever, and if I sit in the back, I won't really, I can just kind of blend in. And then something hit me, and I was like, you know what, I'm here for a reason. And so I'm going to sit right here, like third row back, right in the middle. So I'm surrounded by people, and let's see what happens. And he comes flying out, and music's playing, and I was like, what is happening? He says, high five, 5 people and hug. And I was like, what is happening? And I remember Cheryl Lynn saying, embrace it and play full out. You have to promise me you'll do that. And I was like, all right, I'm here. And then he goes on, and then he says, one of the first activities, he says, pick a partner, and you're going to have 5 minutes to just sell something with passion, just lead something with passion. And I was like, I was like, I have nothing. I have nothing to sell. I'm not a, I don't know. But he started playing music and said, go, and I turned to my left, and I picked this guy next to me, and I just started, I said, you know what? I have this book, and I didn't have the book yet, but I knew I had a story, and I was like, I have this book, and I said, I promise you it will change your life. It will inspire you to live your life happy and not to wait for something bad to happen. And I said, it's about this sailor marries his high school sweetheart. And I just pretty much spit out the entire story I just told, and as fast as I can. And after he's playing music, and the guy's crying, I'm crying, and we're like, I was like, oh my God, like what's happening, and the guy goes, holy cow. He says, where can I get that book? I said, well, the book isn't real. I said, but the story is. I'm that sailor. And I plan on maybe writing a book for my kids or something, time down the line. And he goes, you know what? Take my card. I'm an author. And he says, I co-wrote Tony Robbins' book with them. And he's like, take my card, call me, email me anytime. And then another guy tapped my shoulder, and he says, take my card as well. I'm an author. He's like, this is my family, he's like, I heard your story. Wow. And so next thing you know, during the breaks, people are coming to me like, hey, I hear you have a story. an incredible story, I love to hear it. And that's when it clicked, like that. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and we all have a story, and we all have hardships. And, and that's when I knew what I was destined to do. I was destined to tell our story. And as my story grows and continues, it's still important that I remind people just how short life is. And that was my first taste of that. So I went home, and again, UPW was crazy. I walked on fire with Carmen Electra. I didn't even know it was her. I'm 6'4". She's like 5'2". I was just talking. And she was like, hey, she was worried she's gonna catch her pants on fire, and stuff. And I was just chatting with her. I had no clue. I was just talking to everybody. I was at that point. I was having a great time,
Great.
and whatever. And then someone tapped me like, you know who that is? And I was like, no, and just being me, and it's insane how alike all of us are,
Yeah.
without realizing it. And that was UPW, and
So cool.
that's
I
what
mean,
opened so many different windows for me and my future, and that's what led me to where I am now, for sure.
yeah, that's amazing. Listen, I say the same thing about Date with Destiny. It changed my life entirely, how I looked at my life, how I lived my life. And it's so amazing. You said in one of the quotes in your book that I captured, you said here, we all have a story. Use all the negative energy from your past for something good. You can accomplish anything.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful. That, and then you said, you believe that, the idea of writing a book, I think we all have this idea in our mind, I'm going to write a book, it was just the validation you heard and the encouragement that you got when you were there, and look what happened. The magic just shows up when we proclaim what we want to do in life. It's pretty incredible how that works.
It is. And you hear Tony Robbins say it all the time, that life is happening for us and not to us.
Right.
And there's not much that's more true than that.
I know. So now I want you to tell us the story of the journey and the story of meeting your new family.
So that is a whole other adventure as well. I left UPW, and I was fired up, ready to change the world. And I had set a goal in my mind. I'm going to write this book in a year. And I went home, and I joined all the Facebook groups and everything, UPW. And a few days after I joined the group, and this was after we had gotten back, I did a video, because I love doing videos and taking pictures and stuff, because I believe that's the only true way to freeze time, and so I did a video talking about told my story, and also talking about how one of the twins had told on one of the other twins to me that she was putting something in her shirt, like stuff in her shirt. And I was like, oh my God, guys, I'm a single dad. What do I do? And when I did, like, we all started following each other, and becoming friends on Facebook. And one of those people was this lady named Wendy Mays, and she messaged me, and she said, I'm from San Diego, and I just want you to know, I know what it's like to be a single parent. If you ever need anything, let me know. And I just responded like I do with anybody else, same thing. If you ever need anything, let me know. And this whole group had like 7,000 or 8,000 people in it. Like, I didn't even think much about it. We all became friends on Facebook, and it's easy to kind of lose track on who's what, where, and how. And but a few months later, Sarah's tombstone was ready to be placed back in Illinois, and because she was buried in November, and it was winter time, so I had to wait until the following spring/summer. And when they placed it, I posted a picture on Facebook, and just saying how surreal it was to see my name next to Sarah's name on a headstone, and how just remind people, hey, this is your reminder, live through our story. Don't wait for something bad to happen before you get out there and live your life. And when I did, all these people were commenting and everything. And I got a message actually from Wendy, and she said, I know it's crazy, but I just want to tell you that your wife and I have the same birthdays. And I was like, what the, and I'm a big believer just kind of following the signs and seeing where life takes us, and she is a realtor and she had a team, and I was thinking about doing the whole life coaching thing eventually once I get out. And I was just kind of asking her how it worked, starting her business and getting a team going and stuff. Well, that's eventually where the conversation led us. And I was like, holy cow. And we started talking and just legitimately just was chatting back and forth a little bit here and there. Nothing. Clearly I was not looking for a relationship or anything like that. And she wasn't either. It was, just friends, and after a while, eventually we met for coffee again, just coffee for some of you crazy people out there. We met, and I don't know. I just knew when I met her in person, we just chatted back and forth on Facebook and this and that. I just knew I could feel it in my heart. I knew that she, in my head and in my heart, that she was sent from Sarah, we just started chatting there, and the conversation just flowed, and we became pretty much best friends, and then eventually fell in love. And now, just over 2 years ago, we got married, and now we have a blended family of 6 kids combined. She has the oldest and the youngest, and I have the 4 in the middle, and then we only have one boy, that's Jackson. And and even our dog's a girl, by the way. and that's kind of where we are now. And blending a family comes with a whole new array of challenges, of course. But again, we're living proof that with love, you can get through anything. And, and that's what we do. And so, and that brought a lot of challenges came after we got married. We got married June 29th, and 2 years ago, and then COVID hit, and then we moved up to Washington State. I got stationed up there, and then I got deployed. And so our marriage, it's been a lot of challenges, and I thank God every day we have each other to turn to get through those challenges. Especially now, she's holding it down. I have to give her props for holding it down at home.
Yeah.
She's, our daughter, my stepdaughter, her daughter is in college, and the other 5 are at home, and Wendy's coordinating all that. And I can only do so much from out here in Japan. I'm constantly texting the girls like, hey, don't forget your chores, showers. And I'm trying to do as much as I can from here, but she's the one holding it down, and she's doing a really good job at it.
So Johnathon, what's your biggest hope for this book, and what's your message, your final message to the world?
My hope for the book is just to show that anything's possible with love, and that life is going to come with hardships. It just is sometimes. And you have to ask yourself, is this literally killing me? And if not, then it's figure outable. And so I wanted to remind you to not settle. Don't settle for relationships. Your gut always knows, so don't settle for a job you don't like, a relationship you don't like, just a life you don't like. If you're waking up miserable every single day, that means it's time for something to change. And change is scary to a lot of people. But what else is scary is living a life where you're unhappy, and then eventually something bad happens, and then it's too late. And so I want this book to remind people. I want people to live through our story and say, holy cow, you know what? It could be worse, and I need to do something now before it does get worse. And so for those of you out there listening and everything else, I want you to know it's really important. My last message, incredible person. And if you haven't heard it from anyone, I'm proud of you, and you're incredible. And you cannot be the best version of somebody else. So be you. Not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay, because this is your journey. And it's scary sometimes, but I want you to know it's going to be okay. And you're alive. You're alive for a reason. And, whether that reason is to inspire others or just simply be the best version of you, I want you to know that you got this. And I'm here if you ever need anything, even from Japan, you're not alone. Awesome. And we've all been through something, or will go through something, or or are going through something. And it's okay to embrace the suck every once in a while, and just own it and keep going. And it's okay to go down that deep, dark hole every once in a while. Just don't unpack, and
So good. So
just live
good.
your life.
I don't know if you noticed this, Johnathon, but when you started to talk, and you started to say something really powerful and meaningful, your video quit and came back.
Wow.
But we caught it. I mean, you reiterated it, but there's no coincidences when we have those little, I mean, I just believe when we have these little technical things that just sort of do these things, like when my lights flicker, it's just
Hey, that's okay.
It just reminds us that our loved ones, I believe, are present, always around us. And I'm quite sure it's the same for Sarah. She's always with you.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So how do people connect with you? The best way, if they want to connect with you and say hello, maybe drop you a few words, what's the best way?
Probably Facebook, Messenger,
Okay.
or they can get my cell phone number from you if someone's going through something. I get a lot of calls from people that know somebody that's going through cancer or going through something, and a lot of times people don't know what to say. Neither do I sometimes, but I try to tell people that I'm here for you, and that's just something that's really important that people should hear. And so I would say Facebook, or anything. I started doing TikTok a little bit because I think it's really what I've been doing is I take like a super viral video, and about halfway through it, I cut it off and it cuts to me, and I say, hey, just a reminder that you're an incredible person and you matter. You're doing a great job, and don't forget to pause and find the good in every single day. And so people are like, hey, what the, and some people are like, hey, I needed that today. And I try to tie on some hope with, because not a lot of people are looking for it, but they may need it. And I don't know, I'm just living life, and I'm here if anybody needs anything. And, that's it.
So I mentioned to you, Johnathon, I have 2 high school friends. One this past year lost his wife, and a friend of mine is about to say goodbye to his wife who passed away. The funeral for her is tomorrow. Do you have any words of encouragement for him right about now, knowing what he's going through?
I will say this, grief doesn't know time. So there's a million books out there, and there's going to be a million people telling you what they think you should or shouldn't do, or how you should feel or shouldn't feel, or when you should move on and shouldn't move on. Trust your heart, and remember, it's okay to be sad. The more you bury it down inside, the harder it's going to be to pull that back out down the road. And I can tell you that from someone that did it. And, and even still deal with it, especially being out here by myself, and there's not as much chaos. So I have a lot more time to sit with myself. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to need some time to heal, and it's okay to get help, and it's okay to ask for help. And just know that you're not alone, and it's going to be hard. And I'd be lying if I said it was going to be easy, but I promise you, you'll get through it, and it'll get easier in time. And that just because you start to feel a little ounce of happiness doesn't mean you don't still love your late wife or anybody the same exact amount. So don't feel guilty, embrace it, and just remember, follow your own timelines.
Amazing. Johnathon, you are a gift to the world, and I've been honored to get to interview you and talk to you and share your story. Thank you for who you are, and I wish you tons of success with your story and reaching people, because now more than ever, we all need to hear your message. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. You're an amazing person as well. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come tell my story, and hopefully help, some people along their journey as well.
I'm sure you did. All right, my friend, we will stay in touch, and I will keep enjoying all of your positivity that you spew on social media. So thank you for that as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, take care. Have a good night, Johnathon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.